there was a story that most people don't even know about in Laramie, Wyoming. Barbara and Gordy Bannister lived in Casper, Wyoming. And in Casper, Wyoming, Gordy was the president of the NAACP. Well, they got notice about how 14 black players got kicked off their team at the University of Wyoming. During the game, they wanted to wear black armbands in protest of the Mormon church denying them priesthood.
Brigham Young.
Come back here. Back.
Brigham Young was the Mormon who brought all the Mormons to Utah in 1847. And according to Mr. Young, blacks, Jews, and all yellow people will not be entering heaven because they have been tainted.
What do you mean that we blacks can't get into heaven?
Yeah, and denying free shifts to blacks. Come on. He's not serious, is he?
Damn right I'm serious.
Yeah, he is.
On that Saturday, the players came in with black armbands, and Coach Lloyd Eaton got very upset and said, "I'm kicking you all off the team. If it wasn't for me, you would have gone to some other school, Grambling or some other black college. You're all kicked off." Then they asked the NAACP, Gordy Bannister, his opinion, and he said, Coach Lloyd's actions were an act of racism. The Associated Press then printed,
Bannister says Coach Lloyd Eaton is a racist.
That was taken out of context. I didn't say that. I was misunderstood.
well, we all know where everything went from there. Everything went to hell. Within days, 90% of the population had bumper stickers that read, "We support Coach Lloyd." Then they started calling the Bannister home, saying,
"We gonna kill you."
They even called their children, who were not yet teenagers. They were even getting cursed out and threatened.
"We don't want no niggas in Wyoming. Why don't you go back somewhere else?"
The Associated Press then said,
Bannister said,
Things are getting really bad up there, Mr. Bannister. You need to be careful. What are you going to do?
well, if they say they're going to kill you, they usually don't. If they're going to kill you, they usually just do it and don't tell you about it. Well, it got so bad that the governor of Wyoming, Stanley K. Hathaway, had to come down and talk to Coach Lloyd. And when he got there, well, Coach Lloyd told him, "It's too late. Come again later." And he left. Well, they asked Bannister's opinion again, and he said,
Bannister, if I were governor, Coach Lloyd Eaton would have no choice but to come see me.
"You damn right, that's what I said."
well, as for Wyoming, they had lost all 4 games the rest of the season. And then the next season, they lost 9 and only won 1.
That's what you get.
When people found out about the Black 14, it took them 20 years before they could even get a winning season again.
Ha! Uh-huh.
With all the turmoil around the Bannister family, they found great support in the community. Years later, the Associated Press called Bannister's family and said,
Hey, Mr. Bannister, did you hear that the president of the Mormon church said God has spoken to him and blacks can now become priests?
If you're going to be there, I don't want to be there.
There was this movement in the 70s that said God is dead.
Now, we know God ain't dead. Now, that was just a phrase from the Arthur Miller play called The Crucible. Now, and that was dealing with the Salem witch hunt. That's all that was.
We know God isn't dead because he spoke to that bastard up in Laramie and he spoke to that bastard up in Utah. And they're all right.
Bannister says, kiss my...
Well, I did say that.